in Beaverton, and there was an electrical fire in there, and I had about 10,000 cardboard boxes and these big 50-pound vats of fragrance and wicks and stuff like that, and that thing just went kaboom.
So what started it?
It was an electrical fire. It was actually something I used for the candles. It was they call it an embossing tool. Mm-hmm. It's something like when the fragrance would sit on top of the candles, I would take it. It was like a hair dryer, and there was something wrong with that, and it caused some kind of spark, and the whole thing. They had to close all the schools in the area, but anyway, so it was a total loss. But what had happened was that fragrance, which was mango, they had to re-pour. It ended up being a like $1.5 million rebuild because they had to re-pour the road and re-pour the cul-de-sac, re-pour the sidewalk, because when you drove into that neighborhood, it was like mango.
That's funny.
Needless to say, my husband was like, no, you're done with that.
No more candles.
You're done with that. Yeah.
Lance called me. He was coming through town, and he got a call from Susie. She's at her mom's, and they have water leak.
Oh,
so he's going to. They have broken pipes.
Oh, shoot.
So,
And Linda will be here.
she will?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we'll wait a little bit for her.
Okay.
Gail won't be here, I mentioned, because she texted me, said she can't make it tonight.
Okay.
So we have, our roll call's all done except for Linda.
You should turn your mic on.
Excuse me. Sorry
Very
about
big
that.
brotherish around here.
Thanks for
Yeah.
catching that.
Keep it on top. There's cookies over there now.
Oh.
Chocolate chips, ginger snap, and then a couple of like oatmeal, walnut.
Did you make them?
I did.
Of course she did.
You're just the
I was-
baker, Cheryl.
She's so good, I just don't dare eat anymore. Gotta watch my sugar.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, we were talking before you guys got here about the number of people that fell on the ice and got severely
Yeah.
injured. So I saw Cheryl at Rolling Hills this morning. She was just leaving as I was coming in. So I'm talking to this one gal, I didn't know her, talking about the storm, and she says, yeah, my husband fell backwards on the ice, broke his neck in 3 places.
Wow.
There's Linda.
Oh my gosh.
So, and then Kim was talking to me about somebody else that broke 3 ribs or
Come on in.
Tough,
How
yeah.
are you? Good.
Not
How are
fun.
you doing?
There's a lot of people who fell.
It was a tough storm. Yeah.
The ice is not, we didn't even
Come on in. Go ahead. I got a place
venture
for
out
you right
until
there.
Thursday
I wanted
morning.
to sit next to Cheryl and Mike.
Come on, Linda, let me get the chair for
Oh,
you.
you're such a polite gentleman.
Yeah.
So we're all here now because
Lance is not, right?
he can't make it tonight, and Gail won't be here tonight. She texted me, so.
I should probably move over so I can get in the picture.
Yeah, you should.
Yes, we want you in here.
Actually, I love it so much.
What time is Casey coming?
He's not.
Oh, he's not?
No. Did he not tell you that? Or did he tell
No,
you?
he didn't tell me.
Yeah, I have some information actually.
Okay.
But he could make it tonight.
Okay.
Well, shall we call it to order?
Yeah, let's call the meeting to order. Basically, roll call is done. Gail and Lance won't be able to be here tonight. And we do have the minutes in front of us to review.
Yeah, take a look at those. I did send them out before I submitted them, and I updated any comments that I was given prior to that submission. So they should be decent, but yeah, take a look, and if there's anything else you want to change, let me know.
When did you send them out?
Like the day after the meeting. You got back to me, man. It was a while, like over a month ago.
That's why I can't
Yeah, you got back to me with some comments.
I just barely remember breakfast.
yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I move we accept the minutes.
Oh, go ahead.
Motion so made. Is there a
I
second?
second it.
Second's made. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. Okay.
Roll call.
Well, roll call, Gail won't be here, Lance won't be here, so
Do we
we're all.
have to like introduce ourselves to the people that are watching us? Do we have to do that?
You can. I would suggest it. Just
Okay.
I'm Julie Peterson, CPRD liaison.
Cheryl Weiner, committee member.
Linda Sandberg, committee member.
Mike Kringland, co-chair.
Nick Conan, secretary.
Okay.
Oh.
We should probably do that. Our mics weren't on. Linda Sandberg, committee member.
Cheryl Greiner, committee member.
Mike Kringland, co-chair.
Nick
Mike,
Conan,
do you have your
secretary.
light on?
My light's on.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Am I-
Just really quiet.
Okay, so bring it a little closer, man. Does that help? Can you hear me?
Not on that mic. Something's up with it.
Oh, swap out. Move to that one.
Okay.
Turn it off and then move that one down. There you go, Mike. We have you double mic.
If I need, I'll move down. Is this better?
That's perfect.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so, did you want to cover point 4?
Yeah, sure. So I just kind of wanted to recap the CPRD board meeting, unless everyone here watched it and kind of saw. I know Julie, you were there. Linda, Cheryl, you guys, did you see that? It was the CPRD board meeting on the 7th. Are we kind of all?
I would like a recap
Yeah.
because
I
that was a
would
very
too.
long time ago.
Yeah,
I did-
yeah. Well, Mike, you were present, so I'll kind of go ahead. But if there's anything you want to correct, let me know. In regards to the pickleball stuff, Mike spoke and kind of really just stressed the fact about we're looking for covered lit courts in sort of any capacity. And the board was very receptive to that. I think the sort of the positive manner that Mike went in with, the board seemed very receptive, which was nice, and they threw around the idea of Jakewith Park. But it was a long meeting, and so they tabled it for their next meeting. But I thought Mike did a great job talking about that. One thing they also talked about, Julie, and maybe you have some more information because I was curious about this, is the potential of all advisory committees that work with CPRD having to sign or go over new contracts, anything like that, if that's going to come to
Yes.
fruition or what that's going to look
I
like.
believe that the board, from what I understand, the board is going to be, they kind of proposed a, what I want to say, they proposed some items that they want the ad hoc committee to follow, but I think they wanted some, our lawyers to look at it before they actually voted on it. So from what I understand, that is going to happen on Thursday. They're going to vote on that. And then we'll be adhering to those rules. I do think that Kat is going, or somebody is going to be creating a new form that needs to be filled out for the advisory ad hoc committees, and I think it's going to be a very simple form. But it would just be signing the form saying that you're going to be adhering to these rules, and that's it. So I think that's what that's all about.
Is someone going to,
Communicate that with you?
yeah,
Yeah.
train us maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
As a staff member, I would be happy to do that.
Thank
So
you.
once those are approved, I will let you
Okay,
know.
thank you.
Yeah.
I think that was kind of the highlights that I took from that. Mike, anything else?
I think that was it. Now, point 6, I know Julie's going to comment for Casey since he won't be here.
Yeah, in fact, here, I'll pass these
Yeah, and
out.
actually, I think maybe moving point 6 ahead of point 5 would be.
Is that a good idea?
Yeah, so here, let me just
Swap
give
those
you
out.
one of these here. You can take a look at them. So I spoke to Casey last week, and then again this week. He just wasn't able to make it tonight, but he has been meeting with, I believe it's the organization is called, I was gonna look it up. I took a picture of it on my phone. But then the company that poured the the tennis courts, he's met with them. The plan, and I wrote all this down here. So his plan moving forward, their plan moving forward, and Dawn and Casey have been talking about this, is to redo the tennis courts at Jakewith, adding the 12 pickleball courts on top of the tennis courts. So you'd have 12 pickleball courts that are there already.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this proposed pickleball courts, 6 courts here, they would be covered and lit. And they were talking about so I asked him about the lights, and he said the lights are going to be, they're not the kind of lights that you, like we have out at Crater where you look up and the lights are very bright. They're a mirrored light, which is kind of interesting.
Oh.
And so they would put a cover over those, and he explained it as kind of like a pole barn, almost, that has sides maybe to it, that wouldn't leak, that wouldn't tear apart. And then
Would the sides be fabric or?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. And then this would be expanded parking here,
How
right
many?
here.
Do you have a feel for how many parking spaces that would be?
I don't. Casey might know that. The other thing is, see, obviously next to it is the horseshoe.
Uh-huh.
Okay, since I've worked at CPRD, I've never ever seen anyone use.
Correct.
those,
I've
right?
never seen it either.
And
I've
so,
seen people twice,
Well, you have.
like in the afternoon when I'm out walking. But it's been a long time.
Yeah.
But twice.
yeah, I've just never ever. So every time I go over there, and anytime we have camp, like we have Pee Wee Sports Camp out there, anytime I go out there, I'm always looking at that space. Like, that is a fantastic space. Originally, years ago, I thought it'd be a great bocce ball place, but I said, hey, let's just like expanded parking, with the green rectangle, and then parking there, or pickleball courts there, right? And Don does not want to do that. He doesn't want to get rid of those horseshoe pits.
Does he say why?
No,
I think there's a story there.
yeah.
I
maybe.
think I can recall him having a discussion, and it was kind of a cool story. So I think there's some history there.
I agree, but I just think that moving forward, that is such a valuable piece of property on that property that. So anyway, Casey has also been in contact with the city in terms of permitting, and so the ballpark for those changes. So redoing the parking lot, expanding the parking, pouring the pickleball courts with the pole barn, resurfacing the tennis courts, putting 12 courts there. That would give you 18 courts. Would be about 500 to about 750,000.
The fee,
Yeah.
500 to 700.
Yeah. So, in working with the city, permitting would be an important piece of that. But Casey and Don have been out there quite a bit, and they've had conversations. I don't know if you guys know Doug Rux,
Yes.
but he just retired.
Right.
So they have, there's some turnover there in the planning, what is
Is it
it?
at the city?
Office, yeah.
And in engineering.
Yeah. So they have a new guy, but he's really, really new, he was saying. So, but they've been in communication about that. So he was just saying that. I said, well, do you think that this is right now, this is what we have? Like, this is what we are deciding on. This is the area. And he said, yes, that this is what they thought would be the perfect spot. There also is this area here, this area here. And then there's this area beyond the...
Can you show us on the map?
Right up here. Right.
Oh yeah, that little corner there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that little corner there, and then there's also this area here behind the the horseshoe pits.
Yeah, those horseshoe pits are in an inconvenient location. It kind of breaks
Yeah.
it up a little bit.
it really does.
Because wouldn't that be cool? I mean, okay.
Even if you could move the horseshoe pits even to that back area and utilize where they're at now for parking, that would be a little bit more, but
Well, and really, there's that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because there's that covered, I would think that the only time, and maybe not the only time, but I could see a family gathering at that little
Yeah.
area, and that's just something that that would be about the only time I'd ever even imagine things like the idea of a bocce ball.
Yeah.
But if it was closer to the covered pavilion,
Well, and you know what would be really cool, Julie, in this green area is to, I don't know, have a patio board with some benches and maybe some covered
Yeah. Yeah, for shade.
covered
even
tables
shade
and stuff.
yeah, those.
The only pushback that I see, and I don't know, I don't think they'll push, but that treed space, that is the new peace garden for the church.
Which part's that?
It's over here, isn't it? It's over here.
Oh, sorry, excuse me, guys, sorry.
Do we know the dimensions of this?
I don't. I can ask Casey. That would be something for me to ask him
Okay.
tomorrow. Dimensions of the 6 chords.
Yeah. One concern I have is, I've been to a lot of different courts and a lot of different ways it's set up. Looking, just eyeballing it, it looks like it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight across. If they're too close together,
Yeah.
It'd be like Calvin Church.
I haven't been to Calvin Church, but I have been to the Canby courts, and they are really tight.
Yeah, they were,
they?
yeah.
Yeah. And so if a ball is hit at an angle, you can't get to it because the fence is there.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to get those dimensions, and potentially it might be worth, only depending on how much room they have, only doing 5 courts to have sufficient space, because that is a important, very important thing.
It needs
for
to
injuries
be,
and stuff too.
Exactly, needs to be usable. You don't need to be running into someone else's court to get a ball.
And will there, do you
And or
think,
fence.
Julie, there'll be fences in between the courts?
I'm sure there will be. I can ask. I'll ask
Something.
Casey that too.
And are they going to refresh the bathroom?
I'm sure they will. I'm sure. I mean, so right now, like on the other side where we have softball, we need ADA restrooms. So I don't think those. I mean, those restrooms need to be ADA. So we would need to.
The ones by the softball.
Well,
Both
we
of
have
them.
both of them,
Yeah.
both sides of them.
I like the idea of a seating area over here. This is where, because then you don't have people. That could be where we have our paddle queue and people waiting. I know at Sun River, you come totally off the court and there's
It's kind of a big breezeway. It's
Yeah.
probably about the size of this room, and then it runs the whole length, and they've got benches, and they have covered space, and that's where people gather. Even though the courts are too deep, it's still really easy to watch and, pay attention to who's on first and who's on second.
because they come out of the court, put their paddles in the queue, and the next 4 go in. And
That's nice.
it's pretty slick. You don't have people congregating and on the sidelines of the court.
Yeah.
In and out. So there isn't that congestion.
Let me. I want to give you guys the name of the company that he has been working or he has talked to.
So are
I have
they
so many
going
pictures of
to
my daughter's hair on here.
are they going to dig up these courts?
He just said resurface.
Okay.
So I don't know what that looks like. But we are working on budgets right now, so we would like to get all this stuff nailed down.
Yeah.
Because our budgets are due to dawn March 1st. So I will get special services, my group. We'll get our budgets done first or last or like second week in February. But those budgets fall underneath Brian Stewart and Casey because it's a facilities, and so
And so the goal is to get it on this budget cycle.
So, okay, if everything lands,
yeah, good word.
when would they start?
So it would kind of depend on the permitting from the city and kind of the how fast we can get that through the city, you know, and what they are going to require for us to do. I asked Casey about that, so that was the only information I had from him.
Okay.
Let me look and see. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that location?
Well,
I live right over here, so I think it's great.
you mean Jaquith? I think, or just the location of the courts.
Well, just Jaquith in general. Parking is such an issue. That's such a terrible parking lot right now. It does need a refresh no matter what.
From a multi-use area, I think it's really great because you have the basketball, you have the pavilion, you have pickleball and tennis and horseshoes.
Yeah.
But I think, for multi-generational stuff, it's great.
Yeah.
Because if adults bring their kids, they have other things they can do,
Yeah.
like play basketball.
I've got a alternative proposal
Okay.
I brought, and I don't know if it's not as pretty, it's not in color, but I do. There's a lot of similarity. I don't know if you guys want to see a copy of this.
Sure.
I don't.
What
do we
is
have-
the location?
Oh,
Oh, it's Jaquith.
it's
Jaquith, just
oh, yeah,
a different.
Yeah.
Different
Layout.
layout.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
would appreciate that. I could show that to Casey and Dawn.
Yeah, I'll have to read it to you because you can't read my writing. Can we make copies?
Yeah, I'll make them right now. The name of the company, oh gosh, I just lost it. The name of the company is Mid-Pac, PAC, Tennis Construction. They're based in Kirkland, Washington. And he's in Kirkland and he's also in Honolulu.
Nice.
And
Go visit him there.
His name is Don Gerst, so GERSTMAR. And it's www.midpactennis.net. That's the name of the company.
Yeah, I think we'll
Is that
Michael,
just
I'll make copies.
is that just the one company,
sorry.
or would would that be the proposed contractor?
Well, that's one of them.
Good.
We would
We'd
get
get-
three.
it'd be
We're
bids,
required
yeah,
to get
okay.
three as a governmental agency. We need to have three. Let me make this copy.
And I think any reputable tennis company who's doing tennis courts, as long as they're reputable, will do a good job.
Yeah. So I'm kind of looking at this from a long-term basis.
Go ahead. Oh, you're going to bring them over.
So when she gets the sheet, I should have typed my notes because my handwriting isn't so good.
They're homemade, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Lord.
One of these two. Thank you. I better try with the ginger snap.
Mike?
Thank you.
I'll just take the healthy one, the oatmeal one. Thank you, dear.
Healthiest.
I'm going to call it healthy.
Okay, you
I got it.
you do what you need to do.
So if my wife asks, I'll just add a healthy cookie from Cheryl.
It's kind of like a granola bar. Should we take them to the office?
I've seen so many people.
On camera.
Yeah. I'm very conscious of it.
So if everybody has a copy, you can see that the parking is up at the top, very parallel to the green area, and the yellow area was expanded. Now what I'm thinking, this is just ideally, I wrote down, from a long-term perspective, assuming, growth in the community, what I think would be ideally for this portion of the park would be to remove the existing restrooms, the horseshoe pits, the basketball courts, and the shelter.
The shelter by the basketball court.
Just that one,
Nothing.
only, yeah, only that one.
Yeah.
And then, what I would recommend, if I had my way, would be new restrooms in a controlled environment, so that, let's say that 4 of the courts, so look at the top, you know where we have the existing courts right here. And then if we had we took that fence out and we had the building right here, so that we'd have an entrance. Anybody wanted to use the facilities or the restrooms would have to come to, let's say, kind of like at the aquatic center. They got a controlled, they got decent restrooms. I would envision maybe charging per session to use the covered courts, $5 per person for a 2-hour session, which would pay for the person that would be at the desk. And then, what direction is this? Is this north?
That's west.
That's west, thank you.
Or
Actually,
east,
that's
excuse me.
east.
Oh, that's east, thank you.
North.
Yeah, thank you. So let's say we had 4 courts at the bottom here with the staff member and the controlled restrooms, and then here we'd have the tencel type tent covered for these courts. So we would have, and if we had to do it even in phases, it would, for the long term, in my opinion, it would be best for the club that went from 30 some members to 150, Cheryl?
166.
160.
But you have that, there's the start was 40-odd members, but that wasn't the very start. The very start was when Peter
Was in charge.
was in charge. And he did, this was not an official club, he just had an email list, and he had a lot more than 40.
Yeah, that's
So I
true.
know someone keeps saying that we have doubled every year, and on paper right now we have, but we really lost a whole lot at the very beginning.
That's true. So I envision we might have to do this in phases, because it's going to cost more in the short run, but it'll make that park something really special in the long term. And so we would have, in phase 1, we would have at least, it'd be more of a permanent structure for 4 courts. It'd have the, I would be happy to pay. It's, you know, just let me give you an example. At Calgary, it used to be the Calgary Church, they have 22 sessions on playtime, if I understand correctly, a week. They collect $5 per person per session. That's going to easily pay for more than just one person that would be required to man the desk, because that way you have control of who has access to the restrooms.
Well-
You could have restrooms, you know, over by the area where some of the homeless people are, etc. But I'm assuming.
But, okay, but
Okay.
we would have to have, the park has to have restrooms,
I'm not disagreeing.
Public restrooms.
public restrooms.
Okay, but I don't know what form the public restrooms have to be, but let's assume they have public restrooms, if you're correct, and it has to be something similar to what is there now, do you think?
Minimally.
I think the biggest thing I see with this, I think, well, I'll start with the negative and then go to the positive. I think
Okay.
looking at the scale of this, I don't think it's, if you look at it next to Julie's map that's proposed 6 courts, first off, I think at the scale you have it on here, Mike, I don't know if you have the dimensions, but I don't think it's that much bigger. I think you max out at 8 courts there. And then the other negative too, along with that, is that basketball court is pretty popular.
I was just gonna say
and,
that.
you know,
Absolutely.
similar to like I always didn't think renting was a good idea because it's always popular. I don't think we could take away. I wouldn't feel good about taking away something that gets so much use.
So would you feel better if it was substituted with courts in a different location, basketball courts?
Yeah, but I think we've
where?
kind of gone through. I don't know if we have a ton of location options.
Well, what I'm wondering is this space to the right of the proposed new parking, if that could be used, this area in here.
That's, I think, a residential.
Well, I think that's over here on this side. The residential is here, the church and that are over here. And there's not really a setback requirements for basketball courts.
I think that tree. I don't think that tree line is part of Jakewith.
Well, see,
Because there's that fence that runs basically all there, which I assume is the property line.
right here, okay.
Yeah.
So wouldn't there still be room enough here for basketball?
It might be worth looking into.
Well, anyway, I'm just, now, you know, this is I'm not saying that what was offered is not good. I'm saying that I'm thinking from the next 40 years or so, which I personally don't have to worry about. I won't be here, but I'm thinking for the long term, if you're going to do something, let's really do it. That's the reason I had that perspective of saying ideally we would think big and have a portion that's permanent structure, so it's easy to play year-round for those. And there's a lot of people that would probably play in those courts even in nicer weather because of the courts will be, top-notch.
I'm a little concerned about expanding it more than what Casey has done, because we have houses here, and houses here, a church here, and I worry about the noise.
Well, for the enclosed in a permanent building, I wouldn't worry about those four, but I think your point is for those that are not in a permanent building structure.
And I also know to relocate this bathroom, you've got wetlands right here, and this has always been that marshy area. I mean, in the spring, right there, I've watched enough tennis here that it is super soppy, right? It's like a river right there. So we've got drainage issues, which could probably reduce the footprint.
So is that right here on this map?
Yeah, that gets just soppy wet.
Right.
And that's always been a concern of Jim McMaster's, even with these courts, because it is a very wet area.
Would that impact this part of the?
It might. And I think Casey, that's facilities, but I'm sure Casey's very aware of the issues in this section right here of that water.
But there's what I'm saying, what I envisioned, and it may not be practical for that very reason, Linda. Instead of 6 courts, we'd have future capabilities to have, say we had 4 permanent, to have 12 more. It could be 16.
I don't think there's enough space there to fit 16 courts.
Well,
even if you took stuff out.
Well, okay, so let's say you're right. But
And
it's
it is
certainly
a
more.
community park.
Yeah, I'm not.
And this is going to become a super. You've got baseball, right? Is it baseball there?
Baseball and softball.
And then pickleball here.
Yeah.
It's
Too bad the parking's so bad, because it would be cool if you could put,
Yeah.
pickleball courts here, but you still have the parking issue.
One thing that I think that Mike's idea addressed that is really important, and I think it's something the district would have to think about. But a concern that I have is if you put up a structure that's covered and lit, it's going to attract graffiti. It's going to attract people camping out and starting a fire in there to stay warm, things like that. So just something to think about as the district. Are there going to be hours of operation that it's locked, not locked?
Yeah.
yeah, that's
So-
a huge.
We do have that issue at all of our parks now anyway.
For sure, yeah.
And it is a constant. I think every park and rec district is dealing with that right now, unfortunately.
Exactly.
And especially with it being so cold.
Yeah, it is.
We just covered the, Dundee, Billick Park. We have 2 baseball fields out there. And Oswego Drywall was nice enough to donate materials in their time, and they put dugout covers over the dugouts.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I love that. So I want to do that at Jakewith and at Crater. And I remember Mark Martin telling me that the police did not want us to do that because you don't have a good line of
Sight line.
sight. Yeah, and because they will. There's drug activity that goes on in there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All of that.
And
so
there's stuff that goes on here.
yes,
Right in here, there's stuff that goes on.
yeah.
Do you think Dawn would relocate the horseshoe? That would seem like it would be a super easy relocation.
Well, even I'm trying to think of another, another park that we could put those in, or
And even if you just pushed them back, that would open up,
Yeah.
10 more parking spots.
Yeah,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I'll ask them about it. I will ask them about that.
And the footprint on that's super small.
Yeah, it really is. They're kind of meticulously maintained, which is kind of interesting. I've never
You're
seen
going to
anything.
have to have a cup of coffee with Dawn and say, okay, I want to know the history of the...
He told me, he did mention it to me once because he was adamant about it. Because every time I drive by there, I was like, oh my gosh, we could do bocce ball and blah 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 in there. This is way before pickleball. This is years and years ago, but he was pretty adamant about that. So I'll have to ask him. But
I think it's a great start, you guys, though. Thinking
Yeah.
outside the box.
Yeah, I like the proposal, Mike. I'm all for more courts, but I don't want to take away from the community. Spaces that are being used from the community is my biggest thing there. If you could find another place for a great covered basketball court, sure, great. But I think it'd be hard to fit in here.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's just keep thinking out of the box. So eventually they're going to resurface the tennis courts.
correct.
What are the odds that all of the tennis courts are going to get used at one time? Why not have basketball courts at one end, at the far end of the existing courts?
What happens
they
when
do-
the pickleball players are taking up 2 tennis courts and there's only
Yeah.
one tennis court for tennis players to
Well, I
use?
guess we'll have to share.
Casey did talk about, sound issues. And I was telling him that, I said, I just don't think that's ever a problem. And I think you and I talked about it last time. It's amazing to me because we have, at least 50 games a weekend from March to end of October with softball. And we get complaints all the time. And it's so interesting to me. I've never received a phone call. I shouldn't even say that.
Yeah,
Stop
But
talking.
I've never heard anybody. I think
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well-
that's really nice.
Couple of things. We don't chant.
Or you don't play rap music.
Well, we
Dang
do
it.
play music sometimes,
Tennis
but
players would complain about the noise that we make because they're more dignified than we are. They have more protocols.
Oh, they're more sophisticated, eh?
I don't know about that. But
Hates pickleball.
I think
Oh, yeah. She goes on and on about it.
what you have where the baseball fields are, you've got that Jakewith, that housing development that goes right up to that. I can imagine. We have the beauty is we have a church
Yeah.
and the trees are
the trees
really
are great. Yeah.
helping abate that noise.
Yeah.
Would you guys agree that we'd rather have it done in phases? In other words, like I mentioned, I'd rather, even if phase 1 is quite limited, if we could have 4 permanent walled pickleball courts with newer bathrooms that are similar to the aquatic center, then we got something we can add to as the budget allows. And it may have to be done in multiple years, but the immediate need is for covered lid courts.
And what about the 6 that are they're
Yeah,
proposing
they're
now?
talking about
Just do
6.
6 in one.
Well,
Stop
but-
saying 4, Mike. It's 6 on the
Except that I'm pretty sure that he's talking about tinsel.
You don't know
No,
that.
he said
no,
like
he said
a
pole barn.
would be a solid
Pole barn.
A pole barn would be better than any of the canvas that we've proposed.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. It is a pole barn. But wouldn't you? I like the idea of. Maybe as I get older, I like the idea of controlled bathrooms and heated.
I personally think that I know how much Dundee spent when they put in the new rest area down there. And it is super expensive to put bathrooms in. And it also, you have to get utilities out to there. And God only knows where the utility, I mean, there's utilities going to that building, but I just, I guess I'd rather have them sooner than later. But I do hear you, Mike. I really do.
Casey also wanted me to mention too, I should read through my notes, but that there will be just two pickleball courts out at Rennie also. And we will have bathrooms out there too.
Any other?
Bathrooms are expensive. I was so surprised.
Yeah, I want to say they spent like $1 million.
Kind of side note, but that Rennie project, what are some of the other details of that we know right now? I know we touched on turf fields and
Yep. So it's going to be, so that's the old high school field,
Yeah.
right? You know, and so it'll be a turf. Well, so a turf. I would say multi-purpose is a better way to describe it, and with bathrooms, and then an 8-lane track, and long jump pit, everything that goes along. You know, high jump, discus, jav, all that will be out there. Because eventually, so that's school district property, right? And so the plan for that is to build a school. And so it's kind of interesting if you think about it, CV and Mountain View, they do not have their own track. Or they have fields basically, but they're grass fields, but they do not have their own tracks. And so we do have a middle school track program. And so we run that at the high school. And our high school coach Ramey runs that after his track practice is over, which is very nice of him to do that. But anyway, so that was we were very interested in that. And then bathrooms out there, 2 pickleball courts, and then that is going to be a phased project as well. So what we'd like to do is that is the best, in my opinion, the best piece of property in Newburgh. It could be a great sports compound. It's flat. It's in an area that would be wonderful to. Hey, Richard. Be wonderful to to have a nice facility out there. This is Richard. He runs our IT department.
Hi, Richard.
He's the guy that Big Brother up there.
Here's the bad mic.
I'll fix it, don't worry.
Okay.
Anyway, so where that project is now is it's going back and forth between the lawyers. So we are going to be signing a lease because we don't own that piece of property. And so the plan right now is for each of us to put $750,000 in, but you will not be able to put a turf field in for that amount of money. So I think we will be spending more than that. But the nice thing about that, and I think I've shared this, is that we have so many kids that play soccer more than any of our other sports, and there is not a dedicated soccer field for those kids to play. So they play in the outfields of the softball fields at Jakewith and CV and at Rennie. And so those fields get rotten because of the amount of play on them.
Well, see, there's one right there.
Yeah.
On the wall. I actually took that picture.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, that's one of mine.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
But man,
Yeah, it's out of CV.
They do a good job with that field, but holy cow, by November it's just gross.
Yeah.
But that was taken in September.
Yeah. Oh, that's so neat.
Well, that's an exciting project.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
would really like that. We are very limited. We use the high school on Saturdays for our football program and some of our other activities. But
The tiny soccer program. I spent
oh
the little ones, those cute little ones.
yeah, oh yeah, yes, it's amazing. So that's the goal, and I think it'd be so great for the community. And I think a community this size, really needs a turf field. If you look at McMinnville and Sherwood and Tualatin and Dallas, and we are surrounded by turf fields, and we're one of the only communities that don't have it. So we really, in Oregon, Jim McMaster is going to fight me on this, he said, at the next board meeting, but, in Oregon, absolutely, with the weather, we cancel a lot of, soccer games, definitely, baseball
Cancel
games.
soccer game.
Well, if
My
it's
kids
really,
never
really
did.
bad, if it gets really, really rotten. But a lot of softball.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I've got a question.
Yes.
On Casey's outline here, do we have any rough idea what the budget would be?
Yes, she already said
500
that.
to 700.
Yeah, 500 to 700.
Because that just seemed low to me, but wow, that's good.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Let's see. I think that's all that he had mentioned. Surfacing. I think that's about it. Soundproofing. Yeah, he said actually 5 to 1 million. 750 to 1 million.
Oh, yeah,
Anyway.
751 million, okay. In terms of, were they thinking they could put that entire amount in this year's budget?
They're gonna. I think they're gonna try.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I think it's a. I don't want to say, but I think it's a priority for the board,
Yeah, good.
from what I understand.
We kind of like to hear that, don't we?
Yeah, it makes us smile.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great layout.
I think Jim McMaster had mentioned that at the last board meeting.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah. I'm going to say this and I'll say it again, you guys. I love pickleball simply because it's intergenerational and it's one of the only sports that we have that's besides swimming that is truly intergenerational.
Yeah.
And
That's
you can
a-
play as young as 5. I saw 5-year-olds playing. That was funny. Clear up to, what's the oldest one we have, Mike? Is it you?
We've got someone that plays at
Probably me.
We have someone that plays that's in his 80s.
I'm at 106, but I can still get around. Yeah, in the there are people playing in their early 90s, which is blowing me away. Not locally here, but I mean they play in the senior games and stuff.
That's great.
Well, anyway, I was trying to think outside the box before I saw this.
Yeah.
And because I think obviously I like the idea of more and more parking, which it'd be beneficial, especially at certain times of the year, because I think in the summertime, pretty much all 12 of those courts are being utilized, and I keep hearing of other people, still getting emails, even though I've got a new board for Newburgh, that, gee, I don't see that on playtime. Are you guys still playing? So I try to respond to those. Shalem Park,
The
Aquatic Center, etc. But I really think the demand is there. This club can grow significantly still. If we have the facilities, they will come. And like I said, if they can get all those sessions on playtime at very inadequate facilities, at that church location in Tigard, and nobody's complaining about paying the $5 fee per session, I think it can easily provide, if they ever decided to go with more than just renewing the existing restroom. I know you're right, Linda, it's going to be expensive, but I'm thinking for the next 40 years, you take that in consideration, what would we want to have on a long-term basis. That just was my personal opinion. Anybody else have Cheryl, did you go out there and look at those? At one time, you and I talked about taking a look out there and see.
At Jaquith?
Yeah, a different layout.
No, I haven't,
Oh, okay.
because I don't know if you've noticed, the weather's been pretty crummy.
I haven't. I haven't noticed.
And so I've kind of
Yeah.
stayed away. But I would love, if we could have one of our meetings as a field trip, or whoever is interested, go over and actually like
Walk
walk it, stake it, see it, feel it, but it's gonna be a while.
Probably, yeah.
Well, that would be very helpful to have like Casey walk out there with
Yes,
us.
and I don't mind pulling on a pair of boots and doing that. It's the soggy and the slick that I don't like.
Yeah.
So
So,
Julie, for
yeah.
the record, I think it would be great if the Pickleball Advisory Committee, I mean, I'm looking at these three, not so much me, have, once they know where those 2 courts are going to be, if these guys can double check the dimensions and if they're running north-south, or I think pickleball usually runs north-south, not east-west because of the sun.
Yeah.
But I think that would be great
Okay.
to get some of our seasoned people just to look
Some
at
eyes on it.
Okay. Sounds good.
And would you mind sharing this, even though
I will.
even though they may laugh? Or,
I'll put it in the, like, when I submit the minutes, I'll scan it in and put it in there too.
okay. Is there anything else we want to discuss, or anybody else have different ideas on possible schematics?
What's happening at the next board meeting, Julie? Is there, do Thursday nights are horrible for me, but do we need to be at the board meeting on Thursday, or?
I don't think so. Are you on the list to speak?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you going to speak about, Mike?
Just the basic premise to keep the pressure on to move forward with covered lit courts.
Great.
I guess stay
I think that's-
positive and
Yeah.
you know.
I think that's great, Mike, because at least, they can't forget about us if somebody's there, right?
I think I can be there also. I don't want to speak, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only other thing on the agenda that I, kind of want to just have an open discussion with, and with maybe some advice from Julie, especially of, kind of what the future of this committee looks like moving forward. And I mean, we're always here to help, but is this something that we're going to be? Do we want to be meeting monthly? Is there something we need to be meeting monthly about? And I kind of want, sort of everyone's opinion, because I think it's kind of up to us. Like I said, we'll always be there if CPRD has questions, of course. But just curious.
I mean, I think it's great because I think you guys have such great ideas that Casey doesn't. We don't. I bought a paddle. I'm so I'm so excited about that. But anyway, but it's very. I just think people that are actually playing pickleball are the ones that we want to hear from the most, and so that's why I think this is so valuable. I think the ideas are great. I think you have such current information. I like hearing about where you're playing, what other facilities look like. Lance does such a great job. Anytime he sees any kind of court being built, he sends me the article. It's like I think that's really wonderful because you get good ideas, and you also learn from other people's, the experience that they are having after they built their, facility too. I like to hear about that. So, I think it's valuable.
I think it would be cool if we had a, Cheryl and I've spent some time on the wall up at Crater, and I think it would be cool if we had a hit wall like they do at the high school. I don't know if you've noticed.
Yeah.
Just where people can go, in a corner.
Yeah.
And it would probably be on the tennis courts and even make it so the tennis people can. I mean, there is a difference between the 2 net heights, but I think it would be great for tennis players and pickleball players to be able to go down and drill on a backboard.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that.
They have, I actually ordered one and it got burnt up in the garage next door, but it's basically, it's, that Dink Master, have you guys seen that?
Yes, it's all over social media.
Yeah, and so, but basically they could, on the wall, they could have 2 net heights, one for tennis and one for pickleball. And I know when the neighbor gets back, we're going to try to, he's really a good welder, even though he almost burned his garage down.
They had a fire?
Oh, yeah,
You
we had a
missed
huge
that
fire.
Conversation.
Not good.
But anyway, I love that idea
Yeah.
because when I was learning how to play tennis, I used the Portland Tennis Center. They had a wall,
Yeah.
and I would go there and practice because it's muscle memory for a lot of these
I
shots.
wonder if that's something we could do at the aquatic center. Could you
I don't
create a
know.
wall there?
I think
Somebody was told we couldn't hit the wall.
Oh.
But when I talked to Julie and Krista,
Krista and Wendy?
I'm not Julie, you're Julie. Wendy and Krista, that
Didn't like that?
No, that wasn't a problem. But
Oh.
one of the people at the front desk said
Oh.
that wasn't allowed.
Yeah, you should be able to do that. I think a lot of people crack balls against that, from what I understand. Is that right? No.
Not the indoor balls.
Mm.
Yeah, it takes
I
a
th-
lot to. They last a long time.
Nick, I think you had raised a good point. Is maybe it'll become self-evident in the next few months as to how often do we really need to meet? Because ideally we will put ourselves out of a job at some point. And but I just like I introduced the district to Carl Schmitz, I think we have access to things that they don't.
Yeah.
And so we want to be involved to the extent they will allow us.
Yeah.
So that's why it'll be interesting if they're receptive to any of the, whether it's what I laid out or something in between. I'd be curious.
I know Lance has mentioned too that he has a cousin who builds those structures, over pickleball courts that are, at a very high level. And so I would like to reach out to him too, to talk to him to see what his suggestion is.
Our Lance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Someone told me that the bubble in Beaverton was down. Is that right?
It's
And
up.
it's up
Yeah,
now.
I think the ice caused issues, but it's good to go.
Okay. I know that they had some leaking earlier, and I don't know how old that structure is.
They replace them they replace one on like a 4-year schedule, so they get like a new one every 4 years.
Every 4 years.
But it's two structures, so but it gets a lot of use between tennis and pickleball. They're used all day, every day.
Oh, I know.
Any more comments on point 5?
Well, I think that I think our main goal is to help facilitate this new facility, and so probably at least for a little bit we need to meet monthly, or at least be on the list for meeting monthly, and then if
Oh, there's Lance.
Lance.
oh good.
Hey,
Hi,
you.
Lance.
Hi there.
We were literally just talking about you.
So Lance,
Happy wife, happy life. Happy mother-in-law, happier life.
hey, you're on record right now.
Oh, that's what it is.
You guys have to share a mic. That one's not working.
So if you want to talk, you can use this one.
Announce yourself.
This is Lance Trantham. Just showing up late because I was helping my wife and mother-in-law with a leak.
Did you get it fixed or get it stopped?
It was bubbled out, and so I got a bucket already. Poke, nothing. It already dipped its way out. So all of that for nothing.
That's funny.
So we were just talking about our next meeting, Lance. So we're on the schedule right now because the schedule is we're supposed to be meeting the first Monday of every month for February 5th. And part of the reason I'm bringing this up is Kat requested that we give them a lot more, give CPRD a lot more advance, submit our meeting or our agenda at least a week in advance. So that's kind of why that's why we have a little bit more of official agenda than usual. Was at the request of Kat, which I totally understand. So I just want to make sure we have the correct date on the for the next meeting.
February 5th.
Two things.
That's what it says on CPRD's
Yeah.
website. If we
And the only reason we didn't do the first
Yeah.
Monday was it was a holiday.
Yeah.
By
We
the
didn't want to
way,
bring Richard in, make him come
I'm actually
in.
here.
there is a form that I had to fill out for Kat too and submit. So I'll try to bring a copy next time in case one of
Form for,
you to
speak at the CPRD.
speak at
Oh, I see.
on Thursday.
So yeah, I guess that's just quickly, Mike. What are your? Are you going to just be there to answer questions? Are you going to say anything? And if so, what are you thinking about saying?
Well, I didn't have this information until now. We definitely want to be supportive of whatever they come up with.
And Mike, that might be a good opportunity for you to ask Casey specific questions.
Okay.
I mean, I think he would be very open to that. I would encourage you to do that. Just ask him. If after looking at this, maybe it would be advantageous for the group to say or to come up with some questions, maybe to ask him, because he's going to be there. Dawn's going to be there. A great opportunity to.
Would it be better to ask him at the meeting or prior to the meeting?
I think at the meeting, on
Yeah.
the record, it's
Okay.
we all can listen in. I think it's good.
are you giving him this
I will.
tomorrow?
I will. Yeah.
Personally, and I'd like everyone's opinion on this. I don't think we should bring up Mike's schematics right now. I think we've just made great headway on this, and I love your idea, Mike, but I don't think we need to stir the pot more. And that's my opinion. If people feel otherwise, please speak up.
Well, I don't disagree with that at all, especially looking at removing the bathrooms, removing the basketball court, and not really having a clear set of what that would monetarily entail.
And when I look at this, this will need to be replaced, and I don't know how long. It seems like there could be some redevelopment right in here at a later time. And I think having Casey have this is always a good thing. But I also agree with what Nick is saying.
Maybe at the board, not bring it up at the board meeting.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, the
Just,
last
yeah.
board meeting, we were very well received for the first time in a while, and I don't
Yeah.
want to come off as asking for more and more. Especially 6 covered courts is more covered courts than any Parks and Rec district has right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great start. And if maybe it's something, if we want to go walk it and we scout it out and we see, hey, you could fit a 7th, 8th in here, that's something we could maybe later on present.
And maybe even that's something we could ask Carl Schmitz about. Like, hey, what is his, like, looking at this design right here, like, what would be his suggestion as to what the layout should look like too?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yes.
Can you
Can I have my
email this to me?
Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Here. It's all over that one. Take that one. Jeez.
It's okay. Yeah, and if we could get the dimensions of this,
Yeah.
it would be helpful.
Yeah, I think I should have that before I try to contact Carl.
Yeah,
So,
you should.
Okay, I can get that for you. Well, Lance, we missed you. So
Sorry, I was.
And you know what would also be neat, Julie, is, I don't know how you do this, but to actually, as we go through this, and this is me just being me, but to actually have, so we can see the whole tennis court and what's down here too. I mean, we know what's here, it's wet, but
I can work on doing that pretty easily with
And
some
then-
apps
Good,
and software
Google Earth,
areas.
yeah.
Yeah,
and then
I'll
can
do
you also do the property line?
that. Yeah.
Like
I
that
can- I have it.
overlay?
That would
Okay.
be great.
Yeah, I'll do that.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That'd be
Of
great.
course, you
Yeah.
would have that for your fields.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if there is, if this line where it says proposed pickleball courts, if that could, if need be, if they found that it's pinched at the ends, if that could be just expanded by, a few feet as necessary.
Well, I think what we need are the dimensions.
Right.
And then we need stake and string and
Lay it out.
lay it
Maybe
out.
a quick trip out to Drakewood. I could even see if I could go out there sometime this week on my way home from work with measuring one of those
Oh, you've
wheels.
got a wheel.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that'd be good.
Oh, yeah,
Thank
that'd be
you.
great.
Let me know if you do, Nick, and
Yeah.
I'll pop over.
I will do that.
It'd be really nice if we had that information prior to Thursday night.
Yeah, and I think that's a possibility. I
Okay.
could do it. It would take no time at all. I'll do it tomorrow on my way to or from work.
Is there a meeting this Thursday?
Richard, did we have any public participation?
No.
Okay.
So, what are you asking for? Like the dimensions of what's on that map?
Which I know you can use Google Earth to get, but it's not always super accurate.
Okay. So we have a version of this that has the pickleball courts
Oh.
already superimposed on it.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I did it. So let me talk to Casey and I'll figure out where I put that.
Oh, thank you.
Because we already have that pre-generated with all the courts on it.
Oh, that'd be very cool to see.
Well,
Wow.
thanks for showing up at 8:05, Richard. Jeez. What the world? What the world? Jeez.
It was the important part, though.
Okay.
Do you know how many parking places they're anticipating in the area?
I heard 26. I've also heard somewhere in the 40s too.
Oh,
But
that's a
I
big
can't
difference.
remember off the top of my head.
Okay,
Don't quote me on that.
no,
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Don't,
Off the
it's not on the record. But,
Well, it is, but.
Yeah, I've heard two different numbers, so
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'm just really happy. I don't know if you guys have heard the devastation that happened to the Portland Park and Rec District. It's not good, and I feel totally blessed that we were not hit as hard as Portland.
Yeah.
The majority of their facilities are shut down right now due to trees, flooding. They got hit super hard. And for them to
bet.
even think about doing any major capital expansions in that district is probably not going to happen. And
Yeah.
I think that Tualatin Park and Rec District probably got hit just as hard.
Is that right?
So I'm feeling like we dodged a bullet here in Yamhill County.
Newburgh City Hall got hit.
Yeah.
Oh, we got hit.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I saw
Flooded.
the.
Oh,
I saw
yeah.
the
3 floors.
cars out, the trucks, work trucks. I was like,
Well, any other? Well, I think to finish up with that, maybe we can all. So I will get the dimensions as well as a bigger map, and then I think another thing, if we all have any specific questions we would like Mike to ask Casey, we could email that to Mike by end of day Wednesday.
Thank you. I thought of that. I wrote that down, and you
Yeah.
beat me to the punch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then any other comments from anyone?
So our next meeting will be on,
7:00, February 5th.
okay.
So I have a question. I know I missed the meeting, but I have a question. So why not cover the courts that we have, or part of the courts that we have, versus
Well,
putting new ones up?
well, because they're going to eventually resurface these, we'd have 6 additional courts.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that process is easier said than done.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I would
I'd
guess. Yeah.
I think part of it too, Lance, might be because of the utilities, because they've got utilities in that bathroom area, so it will be easy for them to pull utilities to that spot.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Hopefully we'd have an outdoor drinking fountain, but I don't think that will happen. Too much.
We have
room
one
for
now.
man.
It doesn't work very well, but I've used it.
Any other comments?
Should we go to point 7? I don't know if there's anything under open comment period.
I think that's what we're
That's
just
what I'm
doing.
doing.
Is this it right now? Okay.
We moved on.
Okay, so is everybody ready to adjourn the meeting, or do you want further discussion?
So motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:10 p.m.
Second. Any discussion?
Nope.
Pending none. All in favor? Aye.
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 All opposed?
And we're done.